Hi, this is Alex Fryer reporting live for WBBA-TV here at LSINW. With us this afternoon is Rachal Winger, Intellectual Property Partner at Lee & Hayes. Thanks for being with us this afternoon.
No problem.
So you have a lot of entrepreneurs, a lot of scientists here at LSINW. What is their key takeaway about the importance of intellectual property? How important is intellectual property to what they do in the scientific field?
Oh, well, intellectual property is a mechanism to capture value based on the important work that they do. You know, if you innovate but don't protect what you've innovated, the knowledge just sort of dissipates out into the community, and you sort of lose value very rapidly that way. But the best way to protect what you've created is to use intellectual property protection, derive value, which then can then be reinvested to further the work.
And how does that work in a global economy where different people are doing different things with maybe similar information?
Well, there's always a race, and there's always, different groups working on common goals at the same time. And it's really who gets there first, who gets their patent applications in first, that will then get the rights to the invention.
Is there a conflict between the growth of knowledge and the acquiring of new discoveries, that there's maybe protection of like, well, I don't want to share my ideas because of intellectual property concerns? Or how does that really work in terms of sharing knowledge?
Well, the intellectual property laws are actually tailored to entice people to share knowledge. So you can keep things secret, but the laws protect those sorts of inventions much less stringently. So you actually get stronger protection by disclosing what you've invented and teaching the rest of the community about it.
And that must be so important for particularly medical breakthroughs. I would imagine that is in the medical field, in the scientific research field on medicine is very important.
Yeah, you really want to get these discoveries out there as quickly as you can so that other people can learn and then push the ball even farther. Take what you've learned, think about how they might apply it in their field of endeavor, and then you can really see cross-pollination of ideas.
Yeah. And you talk about intellectual property protection, but how do other countries work in their intellectual property protection?
Oh, it varies widely across the world. I mean, some countries honestly have no protection whatsoever. Others have protection just like the United States. There's a lot of international treaties in play. So across the globe, there's a lot of commonalities and a lot of differences. So it's a country-by-country analysis to sort of decide how you want to protect what you've invented. And, if you talk to people who are in this area, they can guide you to think about where you might want to protect your inventions.
Have you ever counseled a client not to work with a particular country or set up an office in a particular country because you were worried about the intellectual property rights in that country?
Well, I did have a client that wanted to file a patent application in Iraq about 7 years ago, and I kind of told him it's probably not that great of an idea. We don't have great relations, and you're never going to go over there and enforce those rights. So if you're not going to enforce the rights, what's the purpose of having them? Enforcing
rights is a big criteria on where you want to be able to share information overseas and care about intellectual property overseas. Is that correct? People
should really look at where their commercial markets will be and tailor their protection in those countries. Outside of those countries, there's really no reason to do it.
Science is ever changing, and there's different ways of thinking and doing research. How does the law keep up with that? Is there a lag period of when the law takes a little bit while to keep up with technology, or do you see them as being in pretty much lockstep?
I don't know if it's a lag of keeping up with technology, but our laws are always being tweaked to try to achieve the right balance of promoting innovation. So if people get the sense that the intellectual property laws are impeding innovation, that's when we start to see changes. And we've seen that in the United States recently with the recent Myriad decision, with the BRCA gene patents being invalidated, the TESA to look at metabolite levels for autoimmune treatment. Those patents were being invalidated because people decided that the laws were too patent friendly, and we wanted more freedom for people to get in the field and stimulate more commerce.
When you said people decided, do you mean the courts decided, or how do those decisions come down?
So the BRCA litigation started when consumers really started complaining and basically making a stink. They wanted these genetic tests more freely available at a lower cost, and public interest groups started organizing around these causes, raising awareness, and over time it gets into the courts, and as patent attorneys, we were surprised to see this change happen, but it did, and we're adapting and looking at maybe the laws were too patent friendly.
I had no idea that consumers could play that direct of a role in something that would seem to be very focused on precedents and contract law. But you're saying that the consumers do have a role and an impact on intellectual property.
I mean, all the changes you see in this country, they usually always start with citizens just coming together to talk about something and raise an issue that they perceive to cause a problem. And over time, we change how we do things.
Where do you see some of the key developments in the next few years in intellectual property? What's on the horizon?
What's on the horizon? I think we might have Congress step in. There's been a lot of criticism of recent court decisions on what they're doing to patented inventions, and have the courts gotten it right? Because the courts put a decision out there and then wait to see how it plays out in the marketplace. And I think a lot of people are going to want Congress to step in and sort of fine-tune what's been done. Do intellectual property attorneys engage in Congress in that manner into making sure they get it right, or is that the role of a lobbyist to go in there and work with Congress on some of these things? Almost every industry group you can think of is talking to Congress right now, and a lot of the software industry wants weaker patent protection. The medical field generally wants stronger patent protection because it takes a lot more capital to get something to market, whereas most people can write an app in a few months. So there's competing interests, and the patent laws aren't tailored by type of invention. It's really one type of law across the board.
Interesting. So you have different various interests. So I know you can't get into the specifics of your clients' needs, but tell me, who are some of your clients? Who are you working with right now?
I work a lot with startups, with nonprofit research institutions, and universities.
So in the Seattle region or across the country, or where are most of your clients located?
Seattle, nationally and internationally.
And where does the Seattle marketplace for new developments and kinds of things that would need intellectual property protection, where does Seattle rank with the state and the country or nationally?
I think Seattle is a hub for biotech, and we have a pretty interesting biotech scene here in Seattle, and that a lot of our anchor tenants are these nonprofit research institutions like the Hutch, like SBRI, that changed their name recently. You have a lot of collaboration here, so it really pushes the ball forward in terms of people being willing to share what they're doing.
That seems to be a real hallmark of the state of Washington, this real focus on collaboration. How does that really impact you as a patent attorney? They're able to be a little bit more relaxed in some of their intellectual property, or do you see that as more of a philosophical thing?
I don't think they're more lax with their intellectual property. I think they create intellectual property, they get the rights in place, but then they're more willing to license on favorable terms. But they're not going to give this stuff away, because you do derive significant value from intellectual property protection, and by gaining the value, you get more money in the door to then further your charitable purpose.
Right. Well, fascinating stuff. Rachal Winger from Lee & Hayes, thank you so much
for
stopping by. I appreciate it. We're here at LSINW. Please stay tuned.